Imagine ancient India over 2,500 years ago. A land of rich culture, diverse traditions, and profound spiritual quests. The air was thick with the scent of incense, and the sounds of chanting filled the atmosphere. It was a time when people were deeply connected to nature and the mysteries of the universe. This was a time of great spiritual seeking. Monks and sages roamed the forests, meditating and searching for enlightenment. They sought to understand the deeper truths of life, beyond the material world. People searched for answers to life's biggest questions: suffering, impermanence, and the meaning of existence. They pondered the nature of the soul, the cycle of birth and death, and the path to liberation. It was into this world that Siddhartha Gautama was born. His birth was surrounded by auspicious signs, and it was said that he would either become a great king or a revered spiritual leader. He lived a life of privilege as a prince, shielded from the hardships of the outside world. His father, the king, ensured that Siddhartha was surrounded by luxury and comfort, hoping to keep him away from any form of suffering. Siddhartha had every comfort imaginable. He was adorned with the finest clothes, ate the most delicious foods, and was entertained by the best musicians and dancers. He lived in a luxurious palace with beautiful gardens. The palace was a paradise filled with exotic flowers, serene ponds, and majestic trees. It was a place of beauty and tranquility. He had loving parents, a devoted wife, and a healthy newborn son. His family was his world, and they cherished him deeply, yet Siddhartha felt a deep sense of unease. Despite all the luxuries and love, he couldn't shake off the feeling that something was missing. He often found himself lost in thought, contemplating the deeper meaning of life. He knew that suffering existed beyond the palace walls. He had heard stories of sickness, old age, and death. These tales haunted him, and he couldn't ignore the reality of human suffering. He yearned to understand the true nature of life and find a way to alleviate human suffering. This burning desire led him to embark on a journey, leaving behind his royal life in search of enlightenment and the ultimate truth. At the age of 29, Siddhartha decided to leave his sheltered life behind. Born into luxury and comfort, he had never known the struggles of the outside world. His father, the king, had shielded him from all forms of suffering, hoping to keep him on the path of royalty. But Siddhartha's curiosity and yearning for truth could not be contained within the palace walls. He ventured outside the palace walls for the first time. The world beyond was a stark contrast to the opulence he had always known. The bustling streets, the cries of merchants, and the laughter of children playing in the dirt were all new to him. What he saw on these journeys changed him forever. The vibrancy of life was accompanied by the harsh realities of human existence. He saw people struggling to make ends meet, children begging for food, and the elderly left to fend for themselves. He encountered an old man, a sick man, a corpse, and a wandering ascetic. Each of these sights struck him deeply, revealing the inevitable truths of life that he had been shielded from. These four sights exposed Siddhartha to the realities of aging, illness, death, and the pursuit of spiritual liberation. He realized that no amount of wealth or power could protect one from these universal experiences. He realized that suffering was an inherent part of life. This understanding weighed heavily on his heart as he pondered the meaning of existence and the nature of human suffering. This realization ignited a fire within him to find a path to overcome suffering. He knew that he could not return to his former life of ignorance and indulgence. He felt a profound calling to seek the truth and find a way to alleviate the suffering of all beings. He decided to renounce his princely life and seek enlightenment. With a heavy heart but a determined spirit, Siddhartha left the palace, shedding his royal garments and embracing the life of a wandering ascetic. His journey towards enlightenment had begun. Siddhartha spent years wandering and meditating. He studied under various teachers and practiced rigorous ascetic techniques. However, he found no lasting peace. He realized that extreme self-denial was not the answer. One day he sat beneath a Bodhi tree, determined to find the truth. He vowed to meditate until he reached enlightenment. After 49 days of deep meditation, Siddhartha attained enlightenment. He awakened to the true nature of reality and became the Buddha, the awakened one. He discovered the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, the core teachings of Buddhism. the Buddha could have remained in his state of blissful enlightenment. However, compassion moved him to share his newfound wisdom with the world. He traveled to Sarnath, India, and delivered his first sermon to 5 ascetics. This sermon, known as the Turning of the Wheel of Dharma, outlined the 4 noble truths: the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering, the truth of the cessation of suffering, and the truth of the path to the cessation of suffering. He also shared the Eightfold Path, which guides individuals towards ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. As the Buddha traveled and taught, more and more people were drawn to his message of compassion and liberation. A community of monks, nuns, and lay followers began to form around him. This community became known as the Sangha. The Sangha provided support and guidance for those seeking to follow the Buddha's teachings. It became a vital part of Buddhist practice, offering a space for learning, meditation, and community living. The Buddha emphasized the importance of ethical conduct, mindfulness, and meditation in daily life. Buddhism gradually spread throughout India, but its expansion accelerated under the reign of Emperor Ashoka. Ashoka, initially a powerful warrior king, had a profound change of heart after witnessing the horrors of war. He converted to Buddhism and dedicated his life to spreading its message of peace and non-violence. Ashoka erected pillars inscribed with Buddhist teachings and sent missionaries to share the Dharma across India and beyond, reaching Sri Lanka, Southeast Asia, and Central Asia. Over the centuries, Buddhism evolved and branched out into different schools of thought and practice. 2 major branches emerged: Theravada Buddhism and Mahayana Buddhism. Theravada, meaning the way of the elders, emphasized individual enlightenment through rigorous meditation and study of the Buddha's original teachings. Mahayana, meaning the great vehicle, emphasized the bodhisattva ideal, where individuals delay their own enlightenment to help all beings achieve liberation. These schools further developed into various traditions, each with unique approaches to practice and understanding. Today, Buddhism continues to flourish as a global religion and philosophy. It has spread far beyond its Indian roots, finding fertile ground in countries like China, Japan, Korea, Tibet, and many Western nations. Millions of people around the world find solace, guidance, and inspiration in the Buddha's teachings. Modern Buddhism faces the challenges of globalization and secularization. However, it continues to adapt and remain relevant, offering timeless wisdom for navigating the complexities of modern life. Many people are drawn to its emphasis on mindfulness, compassion, and inner peace. The story of Buddhism is a testament to the enduring power of one man's journey to enlightenment. Over 2,500 years ago, Siddhartha Gautama, a prince who renounced his royal life, embarked on a quest to understand the nature of suffering and the path to its cessation. His profound realizations under the Bodhi tree gave birth to a spiritual tradition that has since touched millions of lives. Siddhartha Gautama's teachings have resonated across cultures and time, offering a path to liberation from suffering and a more compassionate way of living. His insights into the 4 noble truths and the Eightfold Path provide a practical framework for individuals seeking inner peace and ethical living. From the bustling streets of Tokyo to the serene monasteries of Tibet, Buddhism's influence is evident in the daily practices and rituals of its followers. Buddhism's legacy lies not only in its ancient texts and traditions, but also in its ongoing capacity to inspire individuals to cultivate wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness in their daily lives. The teachings of the Buddha have been preserved in sacred texts like the Tripitaka and have been passed down through generations of monks and scholars. Today, these teachings are accessible to anyone with a desire to learn, thanks to modern technology and the global spread of Buddhist centers and online resources. As we navigate the complexities of the modern world, the Buddha's message of peace, understanding, and inner transformation remains as relevant and essential as ever. In our fast-paced, often chaotic lives, the principles of mindfulness and meditation offer a refuge, a way to reconnect with our inner selves and find balance amidst the noise. Whether it's through a quiet moment of reflection in a city park or a dedicated meditation practice, the teachings of Buddhism provide tools to cultivate a sense of calm and clarity. It offers a timeless path to navigate the challenges of life and cultivate a more compassionate and just world for all.